going on social media? Hello, everyone. And I think we're right now live on YouTube. We're on LinkedIn. We are on Facebook. But just wanted to hop on as a team here at J29 Creative Group and just kind of start off the new year, right? We do a lot of digital first videos where every Wednesday we do an episode or a video. But today I want to go live and talk to you directly, right? And just talk about 2021 and the experience we've had over the years. We've been an agency for going into our 8th year now. And just talking about the myth about social media, what works, what doesn't, and just from our experience in regards to why so many small to mid-sized brands fail when it comes to starting their social media journey. I have Jennifer, she's my wife. She's also our business development manager at J29 Creative Group. I have our relationship manager, Stephanie, who works with a lot of our social media accounts. And then I also have Anthony here, and he has an extensive experience from building one of the social media and marketing for a popular Hawaiian restaurant here in Kansas City, and also some other big brands that he's worked with from his agency experience here at J29 and also for other company as well. So let's get started, guys.
Let's do it.
All right. So I think one of the biggest things is when you're a small business owner, right, or a mid-sized business owner, you wear so many hats, and there's so many things that you try to do to get that ROI. Because at the end of the day, it's all about having the revenue to keep your doors open, right? And you hear so much from social media experts, agency owners, consultants, influencers, of all these different ways to create content. And they make it sound so easy, right? You just post every day, 5 times a day. You have the 12 post method, and you just sign up for, a shout out to one of our clients too, like Agora Pulse, or you sign up for Hootsuite, and you just get it all scheduled, and voila, you have a social media plan. But I'm pretty sure Stephanie and Anthony can tell you different. So love to hear your thoughts about all these. How hard is it to create content at scale?
Yeah, I'll kind of dive in here a little bit. One of the things that I have found is people don't realize how intimate and detailed your content needs to be. Everybody thinks, oh, okay, and I'll just post and be done with it. It talks about planning, the time, the days you want to post, the style you want to post. And unfortunately, a lot of business owners wear so many hats, like you said, Kev, that they just don't have the time on their plates. So it gets put on the back burner. And also, unfortunately, too, what happens is everybody's so excited in the beginning. So they are super dedicated and say they're going to post all these times. And slowly you see it fade out. And unfortunately, then all their hard work has gone to waste.
So it's a lot like New Year resolutions, right? So,
yeah, it's not.
2022 kick in, and we all, most people have this, hey, I'm going to get skinnier, I'm going to get in better shape, I'm going to start working out, I'm going to go sleep early. And, it might happen for about 4 or 5 days, and then we're back into our old habits. And I think social media, what you're saying is kind of like that, right, Steph?
Exactly.
Yep. Love to hear from your end, Anthony. What's your experience?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely agree and relate with Stephanie over here, in my experience. You can put out content all day, it could just be like, voila, here's a post of the day, or let's say it's a holiday, for example, Happy New Year's, you just put out like a Happy New Year's post or whatever like that. I think in my experience, just like Stephanie said, it all comes down to planning, it all comes down to what your brand is about and like why your brand is posting, right? Like, why do people care about your post instead of just posting to be like, all right, let's just put our post out there. And instead of doing that, let's rewire into thinking like, why am I posting about this? For example, let's say for the LGBTQIA community, there are brands out there that would be like, happy LGBTQIA month. But, you know, besides that post, that one post of the year, they never really post anything else about it. So, you know, being a person in that community is like, you know, why are you using, you know, our holiday, our month, or whatever, you know, to just post about but never talk about us ever again at all. So again, it's just to go with intentions, the right intentions, what your brand is about. And I think it all comes down to like brand voice. And again, it all comes down to planning and execution. And it goes way beyond more than just a post. You know, you actually have to go in and actively engage with your community and make people feel like, you know, like, wow, this is where I belong. This is where I want to, you know, continue following this brand, this page, comment, and interact with this page, instead of just being like, here's a post. All right, I'm just gonna scroll over it.
Which plenty of people do that, Anthony.
I like how you guys both mentioned planning. And I think planning is super important, because what if one day you wake up and you're sick, or one day you wake up and you're having a really bad day, you don't feel good, and you can't think about, you know, what would you want to put out there? I think having a plan ahead of time allows you to know, like Anthony said, like, what message do you want to get across? What are you trying to convey to people? Like you said, what do you stand for? I know I'm kind of repeating it, but I love that whole idea of like planning it out, so that you're not just throwing something out there for the day, but what is your purpose? What are you trying to get to? What are you trying to get out of it?
Yep, and I think it's important to know that behind every brand, right? Like Anthony said, Stephanie said, it's important to know what you represent and who you are and what you're about. You know, a brand is kind of like the personality of, when it comes to a company, the personality of the company, you know? So how are you going to convey that? Nowadays, I think it's changed so much. I think I would say early 2000 or mid 2000s, it was still, you know, you can autopilot it, right? Mm-hmm. People schedule posts or hire agencies to just put something out there. And as long as you put it into a schedule, it's just posting to posts, right? Mm-hmm. But now people don't understand. Even if you have an agency or staff members that are part of your marketing team that are posting for you, it's so important for the founders or executives to be involved in the brand, you know, because you understand the core and the voice of that brand. And nowadays, I love what Anthony said too about the community aspect. It's not just posting and then forget. Are you responding to messages quick enough? Comments, you know, I saw so many brands. We've worked with hundreds of brands with social media, and small business owners and midsize. It's very popular too. If there's a negative comment, hey, let's delete it or hide it. But the truth is, in real life scenario, if you have someone who has some beef with you, all right?
Yes.
Are you gonna just run away and hide in your house and lock your doors and
delete them?
Delete them.
Well, some people do, right? Ideally is to, hey, there's some confrontation needed, and maybe you can mend that relationship. And maybe 90% of the time, social media negativity when it comes to brand, it has to do with miscommunication. Mm-hmm. You know, or not understanding really what happened. So it's good to, hey, get to the heart of the issue. And I think people can respect a brand that actually responds, instead of, it looks really bad on you if someone said, hey, F this, you know, a product or whatever, because I got it and it was blah, 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 blah. And then all you do is hide it because the rest of the people see that. Oh, that brand, you know, they aren't confident enough to respond back. And they just ignored it. Instead going, hey, can you explain to me why you didn't like the product? Or, what? Hey, can we send you, you know, a new box of item or whatever, right? Let's mend that relationship. And it says a lot about your brand. So I think that's really important, especially as we're heading into, you know, as we're in the new year, right? 2022. I think authenticity, you hear that word a lot. And high level, I don't really know what that means, right? You know, I think people overdo it, you know. Because if you want authenticity, you need to come live with me, like Jen, and spend 8 hours a day with me. Then you'll get authentic Kevin. But I don't think we can accomplish that via social media posting, right? You want to get to know Gary Vee, you become his kid, then you'll really know Gary Vee, that's just the truth, and I think when some people take it too far, when they hear all these influencers said, oh, let's be authentic, and then they share all their, details that I don't want to hear about. And so you can overdo it too, right? Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think 2021, it was the year of authenticity. Share your thoughts, share your feelings, share your trash. Let's talk about that. Go.
I'll kind of dive in here too. Again, something that I have personally experienced, and it drives me insane, is when brand owners want to be authentic, but their version of authentic is just copying another brand. I cannot express to people enough that it's so important. If you're going to be yourself, you might be able to tweak it a little bit and kind of mirror somebody else, but you can't just copy and paste, because that's not authenticity.
Yeah, wow.
And I feel like, Anthony, I'm sure you've worked with a lot of large brands as well. That happens with both your small brands and medium size and your large brands too. So I don't care what size, your location, your demographic, you can't just copy and paste, because what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of copying and pasting too leaves out their personality, and the personality of their brand. And also the ones, and I said this to you, Stephanie, the other day, you can follow the trends to a certain point so that you're up with everybody. But if you want to stand out, you have to create originality. So it's like you said, you can kind of see what people are doing, but you also have to let your own originality and creativity come out if you really want to stand above the crowd, because trends are following the crowd. Yes. Originality is standing out above the crowd. And I think that's really important.
Jen, you are one of my favorite people. I know you have your original shirt, the original. Yeah. But I think when it comes to being authentic, you have truly nailed that. And I'm not just saying that because you're my boss. I actually mean that. But you have always been able to, and this is in life and on socials as well, do exactly what you just said. Translate a trend into your own version, so where you're still your genuine and original self, while being able to keep up with the times too, because let's face it, that is important as well.
That is important. I agree with you 100%, Stephanie. I've worked with brands, where we're always constantly looking for like, what's the next big trend that we can jump on, but also bring our original twist on it. For example, on Twitter, there are always hashtags trending, all these other fun things are happening all over the social media. And then it's the job of the brands that I've worked with. We're like, all right, how can we jump on this trend, but also, cater it to our audience and make it in a way where it like resonates with our specific audience, where they're like, wow, for example, a trend that I jumped on is called hashtag, 3 moods. What are our 3 moods today, right? You just put 3 different pictures of how you feel, and then people can relate.
Anthony, I'm curious from your standpoint. So my expertise so far in my career has fallen more towards small to medium-sized businesses. Mm-hmm. And I know you've worked with quite a few large businesses. When it comes to originality within the large industry, what are some of the challenges you've found?
When it comes to originality, I think the biggest challenges can be just because there's so many people running the brand or social media account. I guess the challenge is you just have so many people, in these meetings, planning for these campaigns, planning for these, how we're going to post our content calendar. And it's just, a lot of communication and miscommunication between, the team that's working on the brand from the agency side and the client, and working with the client on how to finding that middle ground, whether the client, wants this, and this, and how we can bring, that something we created on the table for them to be like, hey, this is something that we should jump on, and that we should tell them and sell them hey, we should do this, right? I think, yeah. So when it comes to finding voice, there's a lot of, I think the biggest conflict there is, there's a lot of minds coming together as one, and it's just finding that middle ground for everyone to be like, this is our brand voice, and we all agree on this, to do this for our social media. Where I also feel like the conflict can also arise where someone's voice could also not be heard. If someone has a great idea or whatever, like also, if they're the quietest person in the room, their idea can just be passed over, right?
So I would actually love to hear your experience. And first of all, Stephanie, thank you. You have no idea how much that means to me, and I definitely
My original Jen.
I have to recognize it because that's really cool, and I appreciate it. My question to you guys is: we're talking about different sizes of businesses, from small to medium to large, and you guys have both dealt with different sizes of businesses. How do you carry that originality over? When, for example, small businesses, you're literally working directly probably with the small business owner or one other person that's kind of standing in, but it's usually pretty direct. So it's easy to carry that originality over because you're just in constant contact. You're getting to know that person. You're building that relationship, and you're going, okay, I get who they are. I get what they want, and I'm going to translate that over to the social media. But what about when you get like into those bigger, like medium sized to large, and you have all this whole team involved, and there's so many brains involved? How do you keep that originality from getting lost?
Yeah. Anthony, if you want to go ahead and dive in, or I can, whichever you prefer.
Just your thoughts. Just your thoughts.
For sure. I think that's a great question, Jen. Yeah, so how, can you keep that originality from brand to brand instead of getting lost? I think it comes down to figuring out why we're, if you're in a team meeting or whatever, is the question is just ask why. We have all these amazing ideas, all these amazing different people, different backgrounds. Everyone can add something to the table. The question is why. Why should we go with that idea? Why should we, move on with that, with the brand voice doesn't match the brand voice? I think it all comes to developing the brand voice at first. I think everyone should come in and kind of be like, what is this brand about? And I think or like, why is this brand even on social media? What are we even looking to achieve? So I think that is the biggest question. I think once people kind of grasp around that idea, I think that's when people start to kind of come together and be like, this is our original voice with all of this together.
So that kind of goes with like when I'm thinking about something as large as Macy's, for example, and I know we want to cover every different size, but I'm just thinking like as large as Macy's, it's no longer about the business owner. It's no longer about, where it all started. It's about what it has evolved into, and keeping that brand consistent with, we are Macy's. This is what Macy's is. And everybody matches that. And so I like what you said about what's the voice, because it's no longer about the business owner who originally started it. Right. It's beyond that. Go ahead, Steph. You have something?
Did you guys ever play telephone as a kid at recess? You remember where you would start something and it would go down the line and then you'd end up with something either funny, crazy, silly? I think clarity within your brand is vital in order to keeping your message consistent through the entire telephone line. I don't think it's so easy, especially the more people you add, for your message to get misconstrued. And I think it's vital that you say your message proud, say your message with clarity, and know that there's no way for it to get messed up or misinterpreted.
I think it's important when we're talking about larger brands. It really comes from the top down still, right? It really depends on how the business is managed. It goes hand in hand. I think marketing is no longer just marketing, right? Marketing is tied to your brand's culture. It's tied to the everyday that's going on, right? I think a lot of people forget that. You can't shout we're a good culture, and then if you go on Glassdoor, there's 2,000 negative reviews how you mistreat your employees, right?
Right.
People look at that. You can't be an ambassador for, these things, and then you have these problems. We're smarter consumers. There's the internet, we know how to research, So, I mean, it has to be holistic. And a lot of times it comes from the top down. And think about it. I think it's always neat when I watch, and this is larger companies. when they want their employees to be involved with their social media or reshare things. But are you a company that makes them want to reshare the material? Right? So those are important because I think it goes full circle now in today's marketing world. It's no longer just, oh, this is marketing department, this is sales department, this is creative department, and then therefore, oh, I'm just an engineer. Why is it important for me to care about social media? But now I think the people that do it really well, effectively, they see it as a holistic, as an entire corporation, from culture to the work environment to the way we do sales, how we interact with our clients. It goes hand in hand. And now, at J29, we're more boutique and we work with more small to mid-sized brands. It's so important for a small business owner or a mid-sized executive team to understand this too, because you have a smaller team. So what do you really care about your staff? If you don't, then don't tout that on your social media. It goes back to what Anthony said, like the LGBTQ community. Don't post one time out of the year because it shows you really don't care. You're just hopping on a trend, right? If you don't care about Asians, don't post hashtag Asian hate because me and Anthony, we're going to call you out, dude. Stop that. If your whole staff is, Caucasians and one Asian, stop. There's this balance. And I think it's so important in 2022 to really think about who you are as a brand and what you're putting out there for content-wise. Because nowadays, authenticity is not telling people the world your dirty laundry as a brand, but sharing with the world who you really want them to know about your company. And if you don't really sincerely represent those things, don't stand behind it.
Yeah.
And it goes from their charity giving. You see like, hey, well, what Starbucks stand for. I think they do a pretty good job overall because it translates into the store to when you drive up the window. That's one brand I feel all across the board has done, for a big company, a great job at marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And it translates to the person that hands you a coffee at the drive-through window.
Agreed.
So, okay. So we talk about that. Let's debunk some myth. What are some things that you hear, Stephanie, especially for small, mid-sized business, since that's kind of our focus at J29? What are some myths you hear or things you hear from the clients you work with that aren't true?
Yeah. One of the major things I'm noticing, and it used to be true, but it is no longer true. All my posts have to be perfect when it comes to grammar, when it comes to the editing of the photo, everything, it has to be perfect. And that could not be more false. Perfection is overrated. And back in like 2012, 2016, yeah, you wanted to have that perfect influencer type photo, but people are able to do it themselves now, so they see straight through it. They know all the edited photos are happening. So people just want to see your most authentic self.
Yep. And
I love how that ties back into authenticity. I had to say that,
Yep.
that's
so true, Jen.
No, and I think it's important to look at it this way too. You're doing yourself more harm by over worrying, and it goes back to Anthony. Why sometimes large brands can't execute well on a social media campaign. Because they can't pivot on a dime. And with the world of marketing today, there's so many marketing departments in larger firms and even agencies that are, I would say, they're PR companies, right? When you're a PR advertising company, you cannot, I'm going to repeat that, you cannot be super strong as a social media management company. Because there's a difference. In PR, your grammar has to be right. what you say it matters. Social media, as soon as you post, it either works or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, hardly anyone sees it and they move on. Right? Now, if you're a larger brand, PR is important. Therefore, it's good to have a PR team that work alongside with your social media team, so we make sure we say the right things, because you have an audience that's watching every move, right? Everything Elon Musk tweets, people are watching. But I'm pretty sure between Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, I don't know if there's PR teams looking at their Twitter. I think sometimes it is really their authentic self, and it works, right?
Yeah.
So we have to remember, it's moving so fast. Even your textbooks in college can't keep up with marketing trends that's happening today, because as soon as we get off this live show, the algorithm has changed.
Right.
There's so much things changing within the social media world, and you do more harm worrying than executing. And I think it's the lack of execution of a lot of companies and a lot of brands that's causing their social media to actually not work.
Oh, and please let me add this, and I think Stephanie and Anthony will agree, and Kevin. Do not delete your posts unless they were incredibly offensive and you realized after the fact. If you'll notice, a lot of big brands do not delete posts. It's very rare. In fact, if they're offensive, they apologize for them, or they may go back and delete it because it caused such big news. Okay. But like Steph was saying, whatever goes out, if there's a mistake and you're not able to edit it and it's not a big mistake, just leave it alone, because as soon as you put this stuff out, it notifies everybody that follows you. So don't worry about it. Don't sweat the small stuff. Just move on. You can comment to people underneath, oops, but don't delete it. Please don't delete it. That's part of being authentic. We don't delete our flaws as humans. So why are we deleting our posts?
That's really good.
Exactly.
Like that.
And I can totally add on to that. There's some small business owners that I do follow on Facebook. And I mean, this guy owns, a Vietnamese Asian bakery. English is not his first language. You can totally read his posts, but it's not like fully grammar correct, or whatever. It's just him just being his authentic self, trying to tell his customers and, about like, hey, store's open. Hey, like, all this different, and people love him for it. Like, it literally every post gets like 2,000 plus likes. And English is not even like, there's no, it's not even like perfect. So
they're probably like, oh, he doesn't know English, but it's so cute the way he says that, oh, that's just him. Oh, that's,
it goes back to authenticity. Mm-hmm. It would be really weird for a third generation Asian American, in America with a small mom and pop, bakery, who can't speak good English, all of a sudden posting perfect English. To me, it would be strange. I would be like, I'm not going to eat there. It's probably not very authentic,
Or what would be really funny is you follow all their stuff and you're like, I really need to go try that restaurant. And you go in and you start talking to them and you're like, oh, they don't even understand me. Like, but it was like perfect on their Facebook page, Yeah. Everything was perfect.
No, so I think, what about the myth of the whole idea? How important is followers?
I think I guess I can start this off. I think they're important to a degree, but once you get past that line, it kind of goes hand in hand. So I think followers are important just because, first of all, they're the ones that make up your brand. They're following you and they're like, hey, I want to keep up with you. And they're the ones that, keeping your online interaction going and working with the algorithm, right? I think to a degree, for example, in my experience working with big brands, you can have over like 400,000 people following you and still get like almost like only like 10 likes on your post, no comments, right? Like, that just says a lot for me, in my experience, especially, you know, like working with small brands, working with big brands, I'm like, aren't the big brands supposed to get like way more, you know, engagements and interactions? Why aren't we getting anything? And you know, it just all comes down to, again, what you post and like what really resonates with the followers at the end of the day. Like you can have millions of followers, but if you get like one like, 0 comments, that says a lot about your brand.
Okay, I shouldn't bring this up, but I have to. This is a great subject, and I really want to hear what you guys think about it. You can purchase followers nowadays. You can purchase followers on almost any platform that you want. So if follower count is the only thing that people are looking at, how do you navigate that? Because I've definitely seen influencers that have purchased them, and then all of a sudden the algorithm changed and they lost all their followers.
Oh, wow.
And that's my favorite too, because
yes, I want you to add.
No, they make some excuse, and you'll see it. It's happening a lot on LinkedIn too. Like, oh, I got, you know, banned off LinkedIn, you know, blah blah blah. Please tag LinkedIn to get my account back, or you know, different things like that, because I've been so authentic throughout the years. And everyday people just don't get kicked off LinkedIn, you know. And it's like, you did something wrong, or they'll start getting mad at these social media companies. Oh, Facebook, you know, so ban my account, blah, blah, blah. And they're just this evil company now, and I'm not supporting Facebook anymore. I used to be an influencer. And it's like, no, you cheated the algorithm, and now they're cleaning house, and you got your account locked out.
Right. And there's been some people that lost some of what was real because they got their page shut down. They had to start a whole new page and then make excuses for it and start all over again. So I think the best thing with followers is, yes, it does matter, but is it organic followers? Is it something that you've built over time? Are you the one drawing those followers? Is your content worth those followers following you? Because that's probably why you have, you know, 10,000 followers and only 100 likes.
And it goes back to almost like the hare and tortoise, right? People have to remember social media is long game, and you hear that a lot, you know, from different social media managers and experts or whatever. But it's true, you know, it doesn't happen overnight, a month, even 6 months. The brands that are successful, and this goes, I would blanket it with the statement, this is marketing, period. Not just social media marketing. If you think about it, Nike didn't just happen because of these athletes now, today, right? Don't forget Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and all Magic Johnson. There was a lot of people before them that started building that brand to get to where it is today. We're talking about when I was sucking my thumbs. I mean, you know, that's like 40 plus years, you know? So, I mean, think about it. And if you calculate the size of these companies and their revenue value, dude, it took them a long time to get to where they are. You know, and now it's just accelerated. That's all social media has done, right? If you think about Elon Musk, right? Everyone knows him. He has a pretty solid brand, Tesla. It started with before he had PayPal, right? You know, like you just didn't hear about Elon Musk because he was trying to build, you know, but it took these people some time to get to where they are. So why would you think, if you're a small to mid-sized business, that I'm going to pay someone to do social media, and within 6-7 months, I'm going to see flying colors with revenue growth or a change in, you know, followers? You're lying to yourself, man. Yeah. You're better off posting yourself for the next 6 months, you know, or you're throwing money away. I'm just being completely honest. So you have to understand, okay, how much money I have to invest in investing in social media, because at the end of the day, if you don't have money, then you have to work. You know, it's all about balancing it out, right? You know, if I can't hire someone, then I'm doing it myself. If you can't have a videographer, then grab your cell phones and start shooting video. You know, it's either or, you know. So losers can't be choosers, you know, or don't focus on marketing. Go ring some doorbells. Go pick up the phone and do some cold calling. So you have to weigh it out. And I see this so much in the business world, right? And social media is overall in general, is not this huge change. It's not like anything different than the cold calling days or, TV, print. Someone had to do the work. Remember the days when if you can't hire a company to design your flyers and go pass it out, guess who passes it out? Your internal team. You. And guess what? You go on Paint, the software Paint, and you go create a flyer. Or you go to Word and create the flyer yourself. And the bigger brands had the luxury of graphic designers to create graphics for them. So it's either or, And today, I don't know why people just don't get it. They go, why would I pay for an agency or pay for someone or hire a team member to do social media? That's why. Are you better off doing your craft or hire someone to go, this is just something they do every day and they understand the algorithms to do it for you, right? And that's what you're paying for. You're paying for time. It's exchange of time. And tonight, on my Bottoms Up Perspective live show, we go talk about the value of time and how it's the most valuable asset, out there. But let's go back to this real quick. So we debunk kind of like followers aren't important, and then it is important to beat the algorithm, but at the end of the day, it's all about nurturing your community and organically building that following, right?
Quality versus quantity.
Yeah.
Don't buy your followers if you're watching this.
Don't buy.
Don't do it.
Not, because what
Shortcut,
happens is
not
when you
worth it.
start advertising and running ads, it messes up your audience. And it also messes with the algorithm because you want to target people that care about your brand. So even if you have 10,000 followers, if they're in the Philippines or India or just random people, those people are not going to spend money on your services or your products. So I'd rather have 30 people that might buy shoes versus 100,000 people that I just purchased.
That don't even, or that click on your ad just for the fun of it and don't buy anything.
Yep.
Because they can't.
And then it goes down to, okay, so those are two things. And then third, you hear this a lot. A lot of people are quitting social media, right? So the social media, will it still work in 2022?
Ooh.
Well, it's still working 2022.
It's working right now.
Yeah. I definitely think it will work in 2022 as long as you are changing with the times. Yes. Social media is not stagnant. It is ever evolving. And that is why it's important that you have a team behind you that understands the changes and how to keep up with them. And the changes I'm speaking upon are very different than, quote, the trends. Your actual trends of posting are not what I'm speaking about. I'm talking about the way you're posting, your style of posting, the platforms you're posting on. Those are ever evolving.
So for example, Stephanie, are you saying like, because this is what came to my mind, let's say the younger generation or whoever that you're targeting, let's say they're moving, full force into TikTok and none of them are on Facebook anymore, or there's another new platform that comes out and everybody's on that. I think the generation, we're so used to social media that it's not just going to go away just like that. We still crave it. We still want it, but it's gonna evolve. Is that what you're saying? Or
absolutely, yeah. And I do think it's important you know where the next step is going to be and try to be ahead of that change if possible.
It goes back to, I think it's very similar to, so I went through when websites were real big. You used to be able to sell websites for like $30,000, $40,000. And now you can hardly sell a website for $500, right? So I think it's similar to websites, right? If you ask business owners today, does a website matter? They're going to tell you yes, right? Mm-hmm. But then if you think about it, there's all these tools that are similar to a website, right? There's restaurants that can be completely ran off of just Facebook only, right? So if you think about those things, I think social media is going through a phase where it's almost like where websites was. Like, it's more important than ever, if you don't have a social media presence, to at least have the presence.
Right.
You know, because I think it's no longer a if it's needed. It's, hey, everyone needs it. Doesn't matter if you're a sandwich shop that's mom and pop ran, or you're a multi-million-dollar company. You need to have a social media presence of some type, right? But now, engagement-wise, I think the social media platforms are evolving, just like Jennifer was saying. Like, I think it's changing. So, where you need to be, like, I think, like, Facebook engagement's gone down, you know? But it's also the way, the problem is, I think the reason Facebook engagement's gone down is people aren't changing the way the algorithm, they aren't producing the type of content the algorithm wants anymore.
Right.
And same thing, you know, even TikTok, you know, it's at its height, right? But I feel like once it hits its peak, it's kind of like the stock market, right? It'll start going back down. It's starting to trend down because now you're saturated with creators that hop on the platform, right? So you have more competition. So then it's like, okay, how do I create content that stands out?
Right.
And I think that's what people aren't doing. They don't understand these social media platform has a life of its own. You know, it's driven by computer algorithms that are zeros and ones, and all it's doing is you're controlling the beast. You know, it's not Mark Zuckerberg or any of these guys. You know, we created it ourselves because they created the picture frame. It's us who's putting the picture in there and drawing whoever wants to see that picture, right? Or content. So I think it's important to understand the reason brands' engagements are going down is because they aren't evolving. They aren't changing with times. And I mean, we're guilty ourselves, right? You get busy in your business. It doesn't pay me to post on social media. You know, it doesn't pay me right now to talk to you guys live, you know. But I mean, it could lead to opportunities, but I mean, it's not instant. No one's going to pay me $1,000 to do this live show, right? But over time, maybe someone sees it and go, hey, there's some value in this. Hey, let's talk to J29 Creative Group, you know? So I think business owners need to understand that, you know? And I think too many people are uneducated on how social media works. Or taking the time to really understand what's needed to make it work. So, like, before you dive into the social media game, you know, it's like, you know, jumping into cryptocurrency. Like, a lot of people, you know, including even myself, right? You just jump in without really understanding, then you lose money, right? But then if you did some research and start diving in and understanding it, play small, then, hey, oh, this is how it works. Oh, that's how, oh, there's a trend, right? And I love comparing social media to the stock market. Because social media, and I mean, Anthony, Stephanie, you can attest to that. Gen Zs are very good at reading trends. They understand the idea of, like, they can see it because you guys are born around it, right? And I think stock market is trends, right? So back in the days, people that are older, they buy mutual funds or they trust their financial advisors instead of doing it themselves because Robinhood and things like that weren't available, right? And but you guys are in a generation where you do your own research and you guys figure out the trends, right? And social media is all about the trends.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for companies now today, more important than ever, get to know the platforms. Like, if you're a business owner and you're small, mid-size, as much you don't like social media as part of our society and our world, open up an account and do stuff with it.
Mhm.
And Kevin, I feel that it also goes along with the stock market in the way of being, it's an investment. It's an investment for your company. Even if, you don't get a big return, you eventually you will. So even if people don't flood your doors to buy a product that you put on social media, eventually, I mean, like you said, Nike, Starbucks, all of them had to start at ground zero and over the years work their way up to have that credibility. So that when they put something on social media, people go to buy it. I mean, even the free stuff, like all the Christmas cups are gone before I get there at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm not cool with that. Okay. But I'm not going to get up at 5 either. At this point, I'm not that desperate, but they watch social media. They get the emails. That brand is so established and so well known, but they didn't get there overnight. If you look at their story, it does take years, but it was an investment. Everything they did, even on social media, was an investment to build where people know the brand and it has built a credibility. If you are not on social media, people can't know your brand. They will never be introduced to you. So you have to put yourself out there and not only make the introductions, but really build that sense of who you are, your personality. Like Starbucks is friendly and giving. They give a lot, and they make sure people know that.
Let me ask this, because I think we're pretty across generations there. So, okay. Steph, Anthony, Jen, let me ask you guys this question. Do you check social media before you buy a product or a service?
Yeah.
Do you check that first or their website?
Socials.
Check both.
Both. Yeah. Me too.
To be honest.
Yeah.
Reviews.
I do the same thing. So, just between us four, I think it's very important. Do you care if you see a brand that has some good service or good product, but they haven't posted in the last year?
Yeah.
I care.
Oh, yeah.
You care? Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, there you go. People, from our group here, it does matter. So go ahead, Jen.
No, I'm an old lady in her 40s, and I will still, with a 20-year-old brain, very youthful, but I will still go on Instagram or Facebook if I don't care who they are. If they don't have really a social presence or they've barely posted at all, I'm so turned off by that. Even now, I'm like, wow, you don't care enough to showcase who you are, then I'm not interested.
It's funny, we'll be in restaurants and it always amazes my parents that I do this, but there's times I don't pick up a menu. I just will look at their social media and look at what picture looks the best for me to eat, and I'll just order off their social media. And they're like, you don't want to check out their entire menu? I'm like, no, I want to see a visual, so I'll just order, oh, that looks good, can I have that, please?
Yeah.
So,
and
go ahead, Anthony.
That's credibility.
I also want to add, just with now, with in COVID times, and with who even reads menus now, we have these QR codes on our phones, right? Like,
yes.
Time for brands to step up and add the visuals to their online website menu and be like, yo, this is what our item looks like for this item. Now it's all digital instead of a menu.
And I've gotten to the point where maybe it's just like the laziness of my mind, but I want a QR code for everything. So like if you can add a QR code to your brand in some way, even for a service, I love Apple Pay. Apple Pay, I put whatever I want in my wallet and then I go, do you have Apple Pay? You're awesome. Do you have Apple Pay? You're not awesome yet. It's like, I go to the gas station. Now I can beep. I love that sound. Beep. I just paid for it, man. And so like, I think convenience is a big thing, and staying up with the times is a big thing. It's just as important as anything else. Staying ahead, staying on top. So,
yep. So before we end today, let's talk about the future. NFTs, metaverse, crypto.
Huge. Okay. Just what is today? The 4th now?
Yep.
Okay.
Fifth.
Oh, okay. I'm losing track of time. But anyway, just in the first 5 days of the new year, NFTs have already sold way more than the first half of 2021. So way more sales in the first half of 2021. So that just shows people are joining this space. You know, I don't fully understand it yet either. I've done some research, but hey, people are jumping in because, you know, at times that right now, inflation is high, almost 7%. Investors don't want to invest in safe, you know, things anymore. Innovation is huge now, you know, with metaverse and everything happening. It's going to be a crazy year.
Yeah.
And people have to understand this pandemic isn't going away anytime soon. It's just it's become, we have to accept it's just become part of our lives. And so it's accelerated technology, right? And you know, I've been blessed with living during the whole you know, web boom, when the internet boom, and then also when all the web stuff happened and social boom, right? And I think we're living in a time where, hey, there's room for a lot of growth if you get on the wagon early enough, right? I'm just like Anthony. I'm a researcher, so I've been already looking at, like, you know, I thought about creating some digital art with my son, you know, as a father and son for fun thing, and then posting a set of them to just see what happens, right? And I think it's just understand these things. You can't say, hey, change is happening. You can't say it's not going to happen. Do you know how many Oculus sold during Christmas?
Oh.
You know,
Insane.
and I think it's stupid. Okay, sorry if I offend some of you. If you think Mark Zuckerberg's an idiot for changing, you know, the brand to Meta, you know, he knows exactly what he's doing. These are multi-billionaires, not millionaires, billionaires, you know, and they know what's going on behind the scenes in a world that we don't know. You know, they know. They're leaders in the innovating and everything, right? And there's a reason he did that, and I don't think it's just for political or company reasons. He's positioning himself for what's going to work in the future.
Right.
You know, as much everyone hated Mark, right? It makes me laugh when the number one Christmas present item is an Oculus.
Wow.
They talk,
You know?
they talk smack, and then they all consume the
It's
product.
like, I'm
because
sure
they
there was
love
a
it.
lot of parents who complain about Facebook that bought an Oculus set for their children.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, it's owned by Facebook. You know?
And those who know how to make money know how to make more money, and they know, and they do it. They know how to do it. They know how to create it. And I have to jump on what Kevin is saying. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable, and this is kind of beyond our understanding at this point, and it's all new. But the metaverse is real. It is coming, and we're going to either adapt or we're not, and then we'll fall behind. And so, you know, it is a personal decision. It is really up to you, but change is coming. And you know, you're going to want to get on board with it if you're a business.
And so larger brands are already looking at cryptocurrency, NFT. A lot of them there's a bunch of them that hop on, like, you know, real estate in the metaverse and different things like that. So it's already happening. So it's already here, right? Multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar brands don't just hop on something that's not here, right? So as a small to mid-sized business owners, at least read about it. Do some your homework, you know, do some research, you know, how do you position your brand? And that's something as J29 that I'm doing a lot of, is like, I feel the days of social media are valuable, it's important, but that's also kind of behind us, right? There's going to be I think social media will evolve into this new thing, right? And
Into
a
the
lot of
meta.
us, there's a huge question mark what this new thing is, right? But I really think it's just like anything else, you know, when TV kind of went away and streaming happened, no more people are renting DVDs, Redbox died. I think we're going through that kind of phase.
Yeah.
I agree.
So if you put all your money on just social media and not understand these new technology and how it's going to tie into accelerating everything, then you're going to lose. So I think do some research, do your homework, and position your brand so that you're ready for it.
Yes.
And don't just go, oh, well, I'm a small business, so I don't need to worry about it right now. Just remember, when DVD rentals stopped, it was an overnight thing. It went away so quick.
Yeah. Netflix was like, hey, Blockbuster, you want to buy us? And they're like, people are going to come in and buy DVDs.
Yeah, it just went away.
Redbox, I think that is eventually going to go away because of all the streaming and the accessibility that we have. And like Kevin's saying, I really think, and this is, I know it sounds scary, but this is, I feel, is going to be the reality. Eventually, there's going to be the people that are standing behind a counter waiting for people to come into their store to buy something. And then there's going to be people on the Meta that are virtually in Singapore from America, but they're sitting in Singapore in a virtual meeting getting business. Mm-hmm. And so it's where do you want to be? Where do you picture yourself? You're either moving along with the changes or you're not. And you at least, like you guys are saying, you need to know about it. You need to at least know about it where you don't fall so far behind you can't get back up.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And disclaimer, I'm not an expert or anything in new technology, okay? But I'm just going to speak my mind and some theories that I have. But, eventually I feel like Metaverse might have, ad spots or something. Like, you're in there and then just, like a spot where you're, seeing, an ad for, a brand right there. And you're like, whoa, and it's, live. You can touch it and mess with the ad or whatever. I think that would be super crazy. Or kind of like Jen was saying, someone in Singapore, what if you, instead of shopping in person, going to the mall or whatever, you put on your Oculus, you walk into this online virtual metaverse store and you can still get the same experience, but now it's all virtual. And that person that's in the cashier that's supposed to be there in real life is the cashier there in the metaverse being like, hey, how can I help you shop, right? In the metaverse. Yes. And then you pick out whatever, you try it on, and you communicate, and then they ship it to you in real life or something. I don't know.
And that's the way we see it too, right, Kevin? Mm-hmm. That's the way we see it coming.
So, example, Ready Player One seemed pretty crazy back when it came out, but that's the reality.
Oh,
same with the Matrix, right? So things like that is happening. It is happening. So you can't deny it's not happening. And so you need to position your business. How are you going to do business then? So if you don't even understand social media now, or gaming even, I feel the metaverse or the future is going to be a combination of gaming and social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what the internet is, what we know is today, right? And so we have to understand, hey, how do the dynamics of it at least, and prepare yourself so that when it does happen, that your business is ready, right?
And the hard part is, Kevin, is just still seeing people struggle with just a basic website and trying to get the functions to work right, or trying to get that look that they want, and they don't even understand how it works and how people interact with it, and then going to talking about this metaverse, what your whole store would be set up, for example. Just, I think it'll take some years, but we're going to get there. And so that's such an extreme, but I think people need to start mentally preparing and, like you said, understanding your social media better and what it's for. And Kevin, I can't remember, you had told me last week, you explained exactly just such a great scenario of what social media is for, what it is. And I don't remember how you said it, but you're like, it's the mailbox or the home, or you had literally differentiated, because people are looking at it like it sells, and it's not sales. It's not a sales team. But then when customers come, why is it there? And I think if you could, what I'm talking about.
I think it comes down to social media is an extension of you, your brand, and who you are, right, as a company. And the goal of social media isn't to convert leads, not anymore. I mean, that was early when ClickFunnels was around and all those things were, Think about all the platforms that are struggling with, even they'll put AI on it thinking that, hey, if I put AI, then people will buy it, right? All these funnel platforms are struggling. That's why I have 5,000 emails right now telling me to sign up for the new year. The truth is it doesn't work because people want that human element. And I think social media, what it allows, it helps you choose. It helps the consumer make an informative decision based on the content you put out. I feel like I know who Kevin is before I ever meet him or what he's about, right? So therefore, I want to buy from him, And that's what social media allows you to do. Showcase your products, showcase your culture, showcase your service and who you are. That way it empowers your sales team when they're out there. Because at the end of the day, people buy stuff because they trust someone or a review or whatever, right? Or other people's testimonies. So it's important to understand marketing doesn't change. Back in the old days, our grandparents, they still buy cars based on because a friend or family knew someone or because they said, hey, this is a good car to buy, you should go buy it, right? Because that person's an expert. Therefore, you're going to listen to them. Now you have this thing called social media, and it enables that, right? It enables that trust factor. It enables that referral, the opportunities to open doors that couldn't be open, So I think that's what you need to look at social media as a vehicle for you to open up doors to opportunities. And it doesn't have to be it only takes one, right? You heard that, there's quotes about it, thousands of years. Sometimes it's not even about selling something. It might be meeting that right person, and that person changes your life. It might be meeting your wife, and it changes your life. You don't know the doors that open. So how do you put value into something that's like, you can't put value into meeting the person that you go spend the rest of your life with. Think of it that way, right? So how do you put value on social media? And that's a big question as an agency owner I ask myself every day. Okay, why do we post? Sometimes it's crickets, even on my account, so J29, we aren't killing it. I don't see 30, 90 engagement, but why do I do it every day? Because I might meet someone cool like Stephanie or Anthony. And who knows, Anthony might be a CEO that I need a job in the future. Who knows? No one can write those things. No one knows. And that's what it's for. It's the opportunities. Right place, right time, right content. Boom.
It's your credibility, your character, your brand. And then when somebody suggests you, I look you up and I go, you look trustworthy. You look welcoming. You look tasty. And I'm there. I go there. I want to go there. I want to experience your services. I want to taste your food. But if you are not on social and you are not consistent on social, I can't meet you.
Well, and I think to end the conversation today, everything we said, right? It doesn't matter if it's Meta. It doesn't matter if it's whatever, NFTs, it comes down to one thing. We're born for relationships. So we're created for relationships. And we, as humans, we want to connect. That's why it's so hard to put on a mask for 2 years. And I think no one in our audience can deny that we're made for connections. So therefore, if you're a person that understands the value of relationships, the value of connections, you're going to win this game called life. These are all just tools, man. The metaverse, watch Ready Player One. He still fell in love with the girl online. You still have to control that avatar to do things. They still have to build those relationships, make the right connections in order to win at these games or collecting coins or whatever, right? That's all. So if you understand the dynamics and the mindset of how do I build relationship, how do I connect with people, apply it towards your business, people. It's not rocket science. What we do every day, Stephanie, Anthony, Jen, dude, I mean, I can't say, hey, it's because I have some PhD or a master's degree. You can't teach people this stuff, right?
Yeah.
We understand, we understand people.
Yep.
And what it takes to build relationships. And all of you do, because most people out there have friends, apply it to your social media presence. And I see too many brands, especially large, small, mid-size, too many brands. The number one reason they fail is they're not human.
Well
Your
said.
brand's not human. You're caught up in this world of advertising and the brands that are killing it, they humanize their brand. And that's what people are more hungry for than ever, especially as we're more connected through the digital world. That's the way to do business, is bring it online. Yep. Anything to add?
I think we covered a lot of it. I'm really excited about today's conversation, and I think it was super informative, and I always love hearing everybody's opinions too.
Yep. Thank you, Anthony, for hopping on today. And
Thank you, Anthony.
all right, guys, we'll
Thanks,
talk to
Steph.
you later. And follow us, hit like, whatever you like. But hey, remember, just be human. Send us a message. Say hi. Later.
Bye.
Bye, guys.